It's been a while, long time no see, long time no see. What's up guys, good afternoon, welcome to Roma Theory. Look at this kit, it is absolutely sensational. Daniel De Rossi 16, dale boca dale. Okay guys, how are we doing? It's been a while, no jokes. World Cup is moving. Roma isn't moving. This is the big paradox because, I mean, look, I've said it already. I'm not worried because I expected this start to the summer being slower than the rest because of the World Cup. Because right now the priority is not club football. Now this doesn't mean that you can't work for your club and you can anticipate deals. Look at Milan, for example, spent 70 million euros, which is absolutely crazy, can I say, to sign Gonzalo Ramos instantly. They did it instantly. And it's not like clubs can't do it, but the majority of clubs right now don't buy anyone, and number one, rather focus on selling their own players. Now, what I want to speak about in today's video is a few things. I want to speak about the World Cup, but towards the end. I want to speak about the situation. I want to speak about that 30th of June, as you can read from today's title, because the media has depicted the 30th of June as the deadline to sell a player and to make that famous 30 to 40 million euros in capital gain to send to UEFA because of the settlement financial fair play agreement. So the media has always depicted the 30th of June as kind of the day where something had to happen. The day, probably not the day that something had to happen in, but the day within a bracket as a deadline to see something happening when it comes to selling players. And I highly doubt that's going to happen because it's the 28th of June today. 30th of June is in basically 24 hours. So I'm like, are we actually going to sell somebody to make that famous amount in FFP? And I actually don't think we are. So this then brings the question in my head. And this question is this financial fair play capital gain thing actually that serious? Because if the club, if the club thought that this thing is something that you had to follow, they would have sold somebody. They would have sold a big name. Now again, we said how there were a lot of operations that acted in the background where you could ship some money there and there, from the Bovid deal, from the Calafiori legal situation. We just sold a young player, Romano, to Cagliari. That's another capital gain. So yes, we managed to pull out some moves, which I would call secondary moves. But at the end of the day, we always had to sell a big piece if this FFP was actually very serious. And I don't think we are going to sell somebody by the 30th of June. So the impression that I get from this is that the message that Roma is kind of signaling is we need to sell, but we're not going to sell for the sake of selling. And I'm going to get into that statement in a second. In the meantime, Neno sei un grande, thank you for the super chat. Greetings from the sea. Enjoy the sea. It's very hot, guys. I mean, if anyone is and a lot of you guys are probably going to be from Europe. Europe is devastated. If you're not from Europe, you probably will read on your news outlets that we're getting destroyed by a heat wave. I'm not joking. I haven't stepped foot outside in the past week. No, I'm joking, but you get the point. You need to live at home. This room right now is like -3 degrees in this room because it is absolutely unbearable. So yeah, shout out to anyone who is suffering the heat just like we are. But no, what I was saying is this, is this 30th of June actually that serious? Because I'm not doubting that there is this deadline and that there is this deadline the clubs need to comply with. That's not whether we believe in this or not. That is facts. Teams that sign financial fair play agreements and restriction security agreements with UEFA need, by the 30th of June, to present a list of capital gains. That's not something that you believe or not believe in. That is facts. What is more, I think, up for grabs in terms of do you really believe in it or not is what happens if you don't fully comply with it. Now, again, we know that if you don't fully comply with it, UEFA will sanction you. But I think that the UEFA sanctions utterly and purely depend on how much you don't comply with. Because if I'm Club X, I sign a financial fair play agreement with UEFA where I promise that I am careful with my costs, in both the costs that I spend and the costs that I sell players for. So if I, Club X, sign this agreement with UEFA, of course, by the 30th of June of each year, I need to present, a kind of a spreadsheet to UEFA showing that my costs are on paper, and that my costs are not devastated, and that there is a balance between my costs. If I don't do this, if I completely break this agreement with UEFA and don't present any capital gains by the 30th of June, of course, UEFA will go, well, look, you broke this agreement. You have qualified for European UEFA competitions. As a punishment, we're going to remove you from these competitions. This is not going to happen with us. What will probably happen with us is that we will show UEFA that we're close, but we're not quite there. And as a result of this, we're probably going to get fined. Or, worst case scenario, you postpone this FFP by another year. But I've been told, and I've kind of gathered information that Roma does not want to do this. Roma wants to get rid of this FFP this summer, because technically this is the last summer that sees us hit by the FFP. So technically postponing it another year for me doesn't make any sense. Roma doesn't. It wouldn't make any sense to postpone it. And also, can I say, I understand that there's a very big there's a very big desire when it comes to the manager of trying to keep as many players as possible. This is factual. Gasperini has told the board that the more players we manage to keep and then we add other players, the happier I am. But frankly speaking, I think there are players that, for instance, if you buy other players, we don't need them anymore. And I look at Sule when I say this. If we are really going to get Greenwood and Dybala is extending his contract, you don't need Sule anymore. So if that 40 million offer comes for Sule, you need to take it and you need to sell him. Because he would barely ever play if that's what you want to build up front. Now, again, the question that you're probably asking is, if Roma didn't sell anybody by the 30th of June, does this mean that our players have no market, or does this mean that Roma doesn't want to sell their own players? I personally believe that the reason you haven't sold anybody by the 30th of June is because probably, as I said before, this 30th of June deadline is not that urgent. So the second Roma calculates through their economic strategic plans that you can even survive this 30th of June deadline without selling anybody, then Roma's like, well, of course, we need to sell. Because again, let's face it, even after this 30th of June, it's not like after this 30th of June everybody stays. No, that's not going to happen. If the offer comes, Roma will sell anybody in this team. But the message here is strong. The message here is, I'm not going to sell for the sake of selling. So probably what happened is that a club showed interest for Kone and wanted to spend 30 million on it, right? Of course, this is not a stupid move, because if I'm a club that is interested in signing Manu Kone, and I know that Roma need to make money by the 30th of June, then of course I will try to sign him as closest as possible to the 30th of June deadline, so that Roma, if they really are in an urgent position of selling somebody, they will sell him to you with a discount. But this is not the case. So the message here is very simple. You can have our players. No player in this team, apart from 3, I reckon, as consulted with the manager, are untouchable. No player in this team, apart from, I'd say, Wesley, Zvelar and Malen, is untouchable. Everyone can go. But we're not going to sell them for 30 million. If you want Kone in today's transfer market, you give me 60 million. Then I'll sell him to you. But there is no urgency to sell for the sake of selling. Which probably means that, as I said before, Roma have calculated that if they don't sell anybody, they can still survive this FFP, probably with a minor sanction from UEFA. Whether that's going to be a fine, whether that's going to be, it could be restrictions on UEFA lists. So UEFA could go as a sanction, instead of putting I'm just giving you an example, 23 players in your UEFA list for the Champions League next year, you can only put 21. That's another thing that can happen. So there are scenarios. Again, the truth for me is one. The truth here is that nobody here actually knows what's happening, and that only inside Trigoria, the manager, the owners, the new sporting director know what they need to do. And I'm almost convinced about this, because sometimes, and especially now that in the morning I wake up, I don't have anything to do. I spend 30 minutes listening to some people speak about Roma, and I swear on earth, everybody says different things on this FFP situation. One guy says that Roma needs to sell 100%. Another guy says that Roma have accepted this 30th of June deadline is not that serious, so they're going to try and keep everyone. Another guy says that they completely different things. So this means when the media is divided, the truth is very simple. Nobody knows what's happening. You can only give your own opinions. You can only give your own opinions based on the information that you gather. But the truth is that nobody knows how this FFP treats and gives consequences to this football club. But we'll see what happens. I mean, again, I can already see people in a sense worried as to why we're not signing anybody. Don't ruin your summer by listening to transfer rumors. That's something that I will give you as an advice. Enjoy your holidays if, like me, as a student, you're on holiday. Enjoy your days, enjoy your weekends. Everybody else, do not waste time. I would say in general, being worried, reading news on who we're going to buy, because that's something that we will never be able to control. Whoever we buy, the club knows this. They don't need our consultations. And number 2, I would say, especially now, especially now, 28th of June, with a World Cup on, the transfer market still hasn't started. If you're there wasting your hours, wasting your days, refreshing on transfer rumors, you're wasting your time, because this is not the period where things happen, especially this summer with the World Cup. So nothing is going to happen today. Nothing is going to happen tomorrow. Nothing is going to happen on Monday, on Tuesday. Nothing will happen next week. Nothing will probably happen the following week either. And I can guarantee you this. So go enjoy your holidays. Go enjoy. This is the reason why I'm going live once every 2 weeks, basically, because there's nothing that actually is confirmed, So all the names that you're reading, I think rumors. I think that there's one certainty right now, and that is that Roma's biggest target is Greenwood. That is confirmed by everyone, reliable sources. So that's the only thing that we know, which is confirmed as of today. That Greenwood is number one target for Gasperini. Everything else for me can be true, can be false. But the truth is that just like you, because I'm not a journalist, I can react to news to you guys. I don't know anything, just like you. So yeah, this is my little discussion on this 30th of June deadline. We'll see what happens the 30th of June. Something can happen, but I highly doubt that something will happen, seeing the fact that it's basically after tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to read a few comments and then we'll have a World Cup talk and we'll do a World Cup game. We'll do a World Cup game together. Not going to be too judgmental as most big clubs haven't done much. Yeah, exactly, mate. There's honestly no need to waste time. To waste your precious time. What about Greenwood? Roma fucking up themselves? Roma doing what? I'm late, but my God's live again. There's a petition circulating online in regards to Greenwood's purchase. What are your thoughts on that? There's a lot of Roma fans who are against him. One thing that I'll say about that, I will share every brink of opinion on Greenwood the day we sign him, if we sign him. You will not, you won't hear me say anything about deals or my opinions on players unless it's a here we go. If the here we goes come, I will give you every brink of opinion that is in me and I will share it with you guys. But as of now, I'm not speaking about the player. One thing that I will say is that I read an article that said that petition was basically Fenerbahce fans signing on the behalf of Roma fans because they want to sign him and they want to kind of give this false interpretation of Roma fans signing this petition. So that's something that I read, and that's kind of a trap. So don't believe in that. If Kone goes, we got El Anawi. If Sule goes, we need to get Greenwood, says Mike. Is there still a chance we get Pulisic? My dream attack would be Pulisic, Malen, Salah. But it'll never happen. I don't know. We'll see. This World Cup has been pretty fire. Greenwood seems like a POS. I have no idea what a POS is. Who's winning the World Cup? Okay, let's speak about the World Cup. Because the group stages are done. And what is this? Round of 32. Round of 32 is on starting tonight with probably one of the weakest games. South Africa against Canada. My thoughts on the World Cup are that there were a few teams that surprised me in a good way. And there were a few teams that surprised me in a very bad way. I'm just going to get the group stages back. The teams that surprised me the most in terms of positive surprise, I'm going to go with Ivory Coast. I'm going to go with Colombia. If I had to pick two that surprised me in a good way, I would pick Colombia and Ivory Coast. Now, again, there are a lot of other teams that people call surprises. For instance, we had this discussion yesterday in the fan forum, Cape Verde. Love these World Cup stories of these minor little countries literally giving it their best, and Cape Verde now advancing to the round of 32. But I wouldn't call Cape Verde a good surprise that I've been incredibly surprised of. I'm so happy for them. Maybe I told you once, but my nanny is from Cape Verde. Not my nanny, but the cleaning lady that comes at my house. She's from Cape Verde, so I'm so happy for them. But I wouldn't call them a surprise in terms of, wow, they're unbelievable. They have been very lucky, They have been very lucky as well. And I think we have to be honest in saying that. Again, fair play to them, but they have been lucky. If it wasn't for Muslera, I'm not sure they would have gone through. So 2-0 draws. Another draw with the goalkeeper against them making a lot of luck. But yeah, the two teams that surprised me the most, I'd probably go with Colombia and Ivory Coast. The teams that surprised me in a negative way, you gotta put Portugal in there. I want Portugal to win it for various different reasons. I want Cristiano to win it, but I want Portugal to win it. But Portugal have been disastrous. I mean, it's maybe not disastrous, but Portugal, with that quality on the pitch, they play so bad. They're so slow. They're so slow. I was watching the Colombia game yesterday, hoping for some fun. It took 30 minutes for Portugal to prepare a fucking attack every time, passing the ball around with all that talent on the pitch. So Portugal, for me, definitely a negative surprise. They're not going to win anything if they play like this. The kind of the pulp of my discussion is that every year, every World Cup or every Euro, everyone goes Portugal, Portugal, Portugal. Portugal never win shit. And there's a reason behind this, because they've been absolutely tremendous. And then the other negative surprise, you have to put Turkey. You have to put Turkey, which yeah, inexplicable how they didn't go through in that group stage. But yeah. But generally speaking, I would give a lot of credit to African teams. I think African teams have found a cheat code onto how to beat European teams. Parking the bus like crazy and hitting teams on counterattacks. That's literally all these teams do, but you can't blame them because it's working very well. That England-Ghana game, that Portugal-Congo game, that Ivory Coast-Ecuador game, so many examples. So you have to give credit to African teams. Apart from Morocco, who is clearly the best African team, but it's not a surprise that Morocco is the best. So that's my little talk on the Uruguay. Yeah, no, mate, Uruguay too. Absolutely, you're absolutely right. Probably my three disappointments have been Portugal, Uruguay, and Turkey. Uruguay, oh god, Uruguay, yes, absolutely. I actually at the beginning of the tournament, I picked Uruguay to play in the quarterfinals or something. Incredibly bad team, so slow once again. There's such a, I think there's such, again, they're out because of their goalkeeper, right? So you can't every discussion that I've seen people go Bielsa overrated. I agree, but I think any other goalkeeper would have gotten them the qualification. I mean, in a group stage with Cape Verde and Saudi Arabia, you need to go through. The goalkeeper let them down, but I fully agree. The narrative around Bielsa is something. It's something so boring. Bielsa, the Argentinian maestro, hasn't won shit in 80 years of manager career. So the narrative around the Bielsa is extremely pumped. Okay, moving on. Who do I think will win it? Can I say that apart from France, who are probably the favorites, there hasn't been a team that I'm like, they've shown me that they can win it. I've said at the beginning, and I'm not going to change my opinion because I'm going to stick with what I said at the beginning. And I'm not going to let a bad few performances change my opinion. That's not who I am. I'll stick with what I said. At the beginning, I said that England are going to win this World Cup. I truly believe that this is England's year and that after years of failure, it's officially coming home. But I must say that apart from France, there hasn't really been a team that I'm like, wow, they look insane. Spain, no. Again, Spain will probably be better with the tournament going further, but nothing special. Portugal, disappointing. Germany, disappointing. England, good, but bit disappointing. Brazil, not bad. But again, I don't look at the Brazil team and go, they're unbeatable. The team that probably my favorite, if I had to put my money now after the group stages, I'd put it on France. France have been the team out of all that made me go, they're clearly the best. But again, the World Cup is weird, and it's fun also because of this. Yeah. Argentina too. Argentina good. But I don't think Argentina are gonna win it. I think back to back in a World Cup is very complicated. I don't think it's impossible for Argentina to win it, but I don't think they're gonna win it again. I think against France, Argentina loses. But yeah. The Netherlands is the other team. You know, if I said Bielsa, there's such a narrative around Bielsa. There's such a narrative around Portugal. Portugal, look at Portugal, look at Portugal. Maybe I'm unpopular, but I would extend that narrative to the Netherlands. I think the Netherlands have been overrated, and the narrative around the Netherlands is exaggerated. You know, I see too many people go, the Netherlands are gonna win the World Cup. I'm sorry? No, they're not. I've got my money on Morocco going through against the Netherlands. No, they're not gonna win the World Cup. Just because that Dutch famous predictor predicted Netherlands to win this World Cup. The Netherlands are not gonna win the World Cup. They're not gonna win the World Cup. They're a good team, but I think there's again another exaggerated narrative around the Netherlands that I don't understand. Nothing spectacular, and it's not gonna be. It's a 5-1 win against Sweden is not gonna change my opinion, because Sweden, I don't think are a good team, especially defensively. Yeah. But yeah, these are my takes. It's nice. Everyone has different takes about the World Cup. So let's read some of yours, and then we'll play a game. With these round of 32. Argentina have a really easy road to the final, says Rosie. But they deserved it. I mean, if the World Cup is based on meritocracy, then Argentina deserve it, because full points in the group stage. Messi playing like he's 22. I don't want Argentina to win it. I love Argentina. I do love Argentina as an Italian. You know, Argentina and Italy are very connected. I don't want Argentina to win it because they've already won it. I want something else. But if they win it, I wouldn't be mad. I'd be happy. So yeah, you can't blame them. Argentina have got a good path because they deserved it. So yeah, you can't blame them. I think the USA surprised me because of how they pressed. I think the USA surprised me, but I'll be honest with you, the USA is probably the team that I watched the least, because every single game of the USA was at like 3 a.m. So the USA is probably the team that I've never watched up to now. You know what shocked me? Their defense didn't think Argentina would keep their clean sheets. Brobbey would destroy them. I think Morocco goes through against the Netherlands. I really do. I think Morocco played great. A bit shaky at the back, but so are the Netherlands. For me, even though they topped the group, Spain have looked awful. I agree. I wouldn't say awful, but definitely underperformed. Yes, definitely underperformed. You can tell that Lamine is still not 100% fit, but yeah, I'm sticking with my prediction with England, because when I feel things, I insist with my feelings. But the best team is France. France and Argentina have shown up to now to be the best teams. But never write Ancelotti off. That's another thing that I'll say. I don't think Brazil will win it, but they appointed Ancelotti for a reason. Okay, let's play a game. This game is involves all of us, all of you guys who are watching this video. Share this link with your other Roma friends, other football friends. Get them to subscribe, get them to like this video. First of all, every single one who wants to play, all you need to do is this. In the comments of this video, for all the 16 games of the round of 32, I want who goes through. For all the 16 games. The person who gets everything right, which is very complicated because you got to get 16 games, 16 predictions correct. I will give you, I will buy you a ticket for the season, for any game that you want, for the Roma season for the season coming up. That can be any game. That can be a Champions League game. That can be a Serie A game. That can be a derby. Whatever game you want. Whoever gets every prediction right, I'll get you a ticket for whatever game you want, based on maybe when you're in Rome. So what I need you to do, if you want to play, is 16 games. Who goes through? Who goes through? Who goes through? No exact score predictions. Just France, Sweden, France. And then if somebody gets 16, I will contact you. I will reply to your comment on this video. And then if anyone gets 16 out of 16, very hard, I'll buy you a ticket for any ticket that you want for next season, in the Roma season. And I'm gonna play too, and I'm gonna give you my predictions. I'm gonna give you my predictions now. South Africa, Canada to go through. Brazil, Japan, Brazil to go through. Germany, Paraguay, Germany to go through. The Netherlands, Morocco to go through. Ivory Coast, Norway to go through. France, Sweden, France to go through. Mexico, Ecuador. This is tough. I'm going to leave this for a second. England, Congo, England to go through. Belgium, Senegal. I'm going Senegal to go through. USA, Bosnia, USA. Spain, Austria, Spain. Portugal, Croatia, Portugal. Switzerland, Algeria. Hang on, I'm going to leave the complicated ones at the end. Australia, Egypt to go through. Argentina, Cape Verde, Argentina to go through. Colombia, Ghana, Colombia to go through. So I'm missing Switzerland, Algeria, and Mexico, Ecuador, who I think are going to be the most complicated ones. I'm going to go Mexico to go through against Ecuador. But I predict a very, very, very close game. And I'm going to go with... You know what? Let's spice things up. Algeria to go through against Switzerland. So, Canada, Brazil, Germany, Morocco, Norway, France, Mexico, England, Senegal, USA, Spain, Portugal, Algeria, Egypt, Argentina, Colombia. If I get 16 out of 16, somebody needs to do something for me. Okay? That's the deal. So if anyone gets 16 out of 16, I'll give you a ticket for a Roma game, whatever you want, whatever game you want next season. If I get 16 out of 16, which looks impossible, but if I get 16 out of 16, you will need to come up with something to give me. Deal? That's the deal. Okay. Germany, France, South Africa. No, comment them. You have to comment them once the video ends in the comments down below, not in the live chat. So once this video ends, in the comments, so I can keep them, 16 games, who goes through, okay? And then if anyone gets them all, I'll contact you. I'll reply to your comment. So remember what video this is. I'll buy you a Lazio ticket, says Samson. Okay, I'm probably going to end it here. We said what we have to say, and let's see where this World Cup brings us. Hit the like. If we can get 100 likes in this video, it would be great. So hit the like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. I'm going to be a bit on and off now that July is coming. I'm going to be a bit... I'm not gonna be there every day. I mean, I've never been here every day, but I'm gonna be a bit more inconsistent because I'm a bit on and off Rome, away from Rome. You know, I'm doing an interrail with some friends, second half of July, so I'm probably gonna take that period off. And yeah, but I'll keep you updated. Right, I'll speak to you soon. Simo out. What if one more person wins? If one more person wins, we'll see. But I highly doubt anyone is going to win because 16 out of 16, if you put $10 on your predictions and you get them all, you're done. You're done. Like I think you become a millionaire. So if there's more than one winner, we'll see once there's more than one winner, but I highly doubt there's going to be a winner, to be honest. Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.